Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this afternoon's Two Saints show. I'm joined this afternoon by my friend and co-host on the Behind the Mic show that we do on All Wales on a Monday. Greg Dixon's in with me today. Afternoon, Greg.
Good afternoon, Mark. Good to be
Mark
here.
H, unfortunately not with us today, feeling a little bit under the weather. Get well soon, Mark. Hopefully you tuned in. Hope you enjoyed the show today. We'll try and get through it as best we can and hopefully not let you down. So coming up in the first half of the show today, we have a review of Saints versus Aston Villa and also Saints news and other related news articles. After we play you our disclaimer.
Fiesta FM Southampton 95.0 FM.
Disclaimer. The following program contains language, views and opinions that may be unsuitable for some listeners. This is not necessarily a view or judgment of Fiesta FM, its management, other hosts or advertisers. The show is for entertainment purpose only and is not intended to defame, insult or offend anybody in any shape or form whatsoever. Listeners are advised to exercise caution in their own environment when listening to the show.
Mark my word that every Thursday, 2 o'clock here on Fiesta 95 FM, it's the Two Saints Show. For informative football chat and great tunes, make sure you're here every Thursday from midday to 2 o'clock.
So moving on today, we're kicking off the show today with our review of Southampton versus Aston Villa. Only Saints' third home win in the season, which was a 2-0 win at home. Shane Long scored in the 8th minute, Stuart Armstrong with a very late winner. I was lucky enough to be at that game with Mark as well. Very good, not the greatest game. I wouldn't say it was a classic. Saints dominated the first half, took an early lead through Shane Long. There is some debate as what part of his anatomy it actually came off of. I've actually watched the replay and it did actually go in off his thigh, but a few people seem to think it hit another part of him, which we won't go into on air because we're not allowed to. But so Saints dominated the first half, took an early lead, as I say. It was their first win in 5 matches, moved in 10 points clear of the relegation zone. But Aston Villa, unfortunately, who managed just one shot on target, remain a point above the bottom 3. And I looked at some of the stats for the game. Saints actually had 28 shots and 9 on target. And Aston Villa actually, I think, managed about 4, which I think is the lowest total of shots Saints have actually had against them this season in the Premier League.
That's good return and an important 6-pointer, really, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, I mean, obviously coming off the back of the Burnley defeat, you needed something against Villa at home, and Saints delivered. Only the third home win in the season, unfortunately. Before the game, Ralph Hasenhüttl had called for a bit of support from the fans, and I've got to be honest, having been there, I thought the support was really good. And it was very nice to actually, for once, get a last-minute goal instead of conceding a last-minute goal. Yeah. And when Stuart Armstrong rolled it in, it took the roof off the stadium, to be fair. I've not had St Mary's like that for quite some time.
I would think
we've done quite well.
I think the only disappointing factor on the game probably is the win wasn't greater.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Ings missed a glorious chance. Musa Gineppo, I think the ball he put over is actually still travelling. I think that ball's actually been sighted by the International Space Station. Yeah, I think it's still in orbit. He missed that by quite a mile. Shea Adams, fat bit sorry for him. Did everything he could have done to get a goal. Put a really good shot on target. That was unfortunately was blocked. And a couple of little incidents. I thought Pepe Reina was lucky to stay on the pitch, to be fair. I thought he should have got a straight red card for taking, I think it was Shane Long he took out. I thought he should have got a straight red for that. And I thought Matt Targett should have got booked for a challenge on Shane Long that he got away with. A bit of a naughty one, really. But, I wouldn't say it was a great performance, but it was definitely job done for Saints. And certainly should have been a much higher scoreline, to be fair. The margin should have been much greater. And
obviously, Villa having the worst defensive record, you would have hoped that Saints would have got more.
Absolutely.
Goals they scored, wouldn't you? But their work ethic from the stats were second to none, really. But
absolutely.
Just needed to capitalise that into goals.
Yeah, the interesting thing was as well, Saints actually won the reverse fixture 3-1 just before Christmas, and that victory actually sparked a run of 13 points from a possible 15, which steered them clear of the relegation zone, or the bottom 3. But obviously they've continued to lose at home. Last week's 2-1 defeat by Burnley was the 8th home reverse of the season. Manager Ralph Hasenhüttl spoke about the pressure of playing at St Mary's, challenged the players to turn it back into a fortress, and they did start like a side who had his words still ringing in their ears, to be fair.
Yeah.
They certainly started a lot better. The interesting one for me was James Ward-Prowse starting at right back ahead of Jan Valery, who was fit. Jan Valery only managing a place on the bench, which tells me there's still a bit of an issue there with Jan Valery. Is it the partying he's been doing allegedly at Buddha Lounge or Cafe Parfum's allegedly been spotted? We don't know if that's true or not. Obviously, we can't really go on speculation. We can only go on what we see coming out of the club. But obviously, it's a bit of a strange one that Jan Valery's not actually played. Although, if you look at James Ward-Prowse's rating for the weekend, playing at right back, for that game, playing at right back. He had a phenomenal stat, to be fair.
To be honest, he's had
quite interesting how he's adapted to right back.
He's had a cracking season, really, hasn't he?
Oh, absolutely.
You know? And I think looking back, there was the possibilities that he was going to be moving out of Southampton.
Absolutely.
And you know, rightly or wrongly, you know, he was either talked around or made the decision himself to stay, which is great news, you know, for Southampton Football Club.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in a way, it's good to see that clubs are not actually chasing him as well.
That's right.
You know.
Well, Ralph Hasenhüttl also hailed it as Saints' perfect performance against Villa. He said it was very important to show reaction after our last game, and we started the day knowing we wanted to send a signal. Carried the game in our half, played the football we play best, creating chances. I think we had 28 shots. That's something of a signal about how dominant we've been. It was a fantastic atmosphere, and I must say the guys enjoyed it very much, which I think is probably a fair comment from him. That's a bit of reaction from Ralph Hasenhüttl. There was obviously a little bit more reaction from him as well, in the fact that he actually was also stated as saying, regards to Shane Long, he paid tribute to Shane Long after the striker bagged Saints' first goal on their 2-0 win. 33-year-old met Moussa Djenefo's cross at the near post, guided the ball home with his, well, some part of his anatomy anyway. Hasenhüttl held his performance as fantastic, with Stuart Armstrong also scoring with the final kick of the game. When asked about his contribution, Hasenhüttl said, "We've spoken about having time to speak to the players about contracts. He showed again that he can score for us and that he works hard for us. In general, I must say our four strikers did a fantastic job, even if they didn't all score. It's a luxury to have four strikers on the bench fighting for two positions. That's what we need."
Yeah.
And Long's definitely got a knack of scoring against Villa, as that's his 7th goal in 8 Premier League starts against them. So he's certainly got a knack of scoring against Aston Villa, hasn't he?
Players tend to have that, though, don't they? They tend to pick up a little quirk that
absolutely,
where they get one over on certain teams. Do you feel that was Saints' strongest lineup that he played, or
I'm not sure if it was the strongest lineup, but it got the job done.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, you'd play a natural right back at right back. You'd play James Ward-Prowse in his natural position. Although, in fairness, Will Smallbone comes in for his Premier League debut, age 20. His birthday was on Friday. Only found out he's playing Saturday morning, and he had a fantastic game.
Yeah, it's strong.
I mean, a couple of the 1 and 2 touch passes he put through were exceptional, absolutely exceptional. So he acquitted himself really well. And he's certainly one for the future. And if he continues to develop in the vein he is at the moment, he certainly looks as though we've got a half-decent player on our hands. Yeah. For me, he played really well. I thought he had a really good game.
I know you were at the game,
I was,
Mark, but my only worrying thing would be was...
it's ironic as well. Saints have won 3 at home this season, and I've seen 2 of them.
Okay, maybe you need to go a little bit more.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
My only worrying thing is you gave out the stats, which look great. 28 shots by Saints, 9 on target, only 4 by Villa. My worrying thing is the fact that Villa had more possession and completed more passes than Saints, because they were way off the pace in the second half, but came into it in their own in the second half. Yeah,
I mean, for me, Saints are their own worst enemies as well. There were certain times throughout the game where we gave the ball away very sloppily. We were quite sloppy in midfield with it. And the odd pass sort of went astray. A couple of times Jack Stevens kind of went on one of these little runs he goes on, which I kind of wish he'd stop doing. When he focuses on the basics, he's fantastic defensively, when he focuses on the basics. But when he has his little runs he goes on out of the area, it's a little bit of worry. And for me, one of the other incidents that was a worry was the second half, lack of communication between McCarthy and Stevens on the edge of the penalty area. And to be fair, given the stage it was in the game, if Villa had actually scored from that, you would have said to themselves, right, they shot themselves in the foot, well and truly. Got away with that one, I thought, a little bit. The worry was that Villa did certainly get on the ball a lot more. In the second half, I didn't think Saints were quite as good. But finished strongly, obviously, and Stuart Armstrong running on to Shea Adams' superb ball right at the end. In literally the last kick of the game was something else. But I must admit, from where I sat, I thought he was going to miss it. It looked like he was going to roll it wide. Given the way the game had gone. But I thought all in all, not a bad performance. I mean, it wasn't brilliant. It certainly wasn't a classic. But as myself and Mark spoke about at the time, got the job done. 3 points, and it moves us 10 points clear of the bottom 3. I would say probably another couple of wins just to make 100% sure for Saints. But I think they've all but secured their Premiership survival at the moment. Yeah, I don't think they're far off it. Couple of wins, and I think we can breathe a lot easier. But I'd rather they just kick on now and see how many points they can get, rather than worrying about winning a couple more. See how many you can get.
Yeah, because
don't set a target. Just see how many points you can accumulate now.
Because potentially some of the games they've got coming up are still 6-pointers. Because we both know that a couple of wins, a couple of defeats can move you massively in the Premiership at the moment, and to say that we're almost safe is still a bit of a worrying statement to make.
Absolutely.
Because we've still got quite a bit of the season to see out, even though it's technically, I suppose, only about 8 weeks and the season's over.
Yeah.
We've still got a feel that we're going to be fairly safe, and I think it's important that they move on from this.
Absolutely.
And they pick up on their home form.
It'd be interesting
because
if
their away form hasn't really been a problem, has it?
No. I mean, away form. I actually said to Mark, I think it was Mark I spoke to before the game, and I had a bit of a joke and said, "Do you know what? Play them in their away kit. They seem to play really well in that."
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that'll make a difference. I mean, it's a 31,000 plus crowd, so big crowd. It'd be interesting if they can go on another little run, because obviously it was the Villa game that kick-started their little run earlier in the season. So it'd be interesting to see if it happens again like that. But,
I was hoping when I saw that we'd scored an early goal, I actually thought that Saints were going to kick on from that. And, you're quite right. They certainly battered them in the first half. And
Wilson Mulbone had a really good effort first half. Big deflection rate, hit the post. I'm not sure if it would have gone in previous to that, but the big deflection rate hit the post. Very unlucky there. Danny Ings had a glorious chance which he put straight to goalie. Gineppo blasted over from about 8 yards out, I think it was roughly. So we certainly had chances. I mean, 28 shots and 9 on target. To only score 2 goals, not quite enough of a return given what we did, but showed how dominant we were in the first half. But second half we certainly weren't quite as good. Although, I mean, credit to James Ward-Prowse, he managed to keep Jack Grealish quiet for most of the game.
Yeah, it was.
So,
it was.
He's
good.
done a bit of a number this season. He's done a number on Wilfred Zaha, and he's managed to do the same with
he's certainly got big
Grealish now.
Certainly got big pockets, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Be interesting to see what he takes out of his pockets at the end of the season. But no, all in all, I thought not too bad, to be fair. Just to remind everyone,
could be interested in going through passport control.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there might be a few bleeps at the airport. Right, moving on.
Make the Two Saints Show your permanent fixture with Mark C and Mark H on Fiesta 95 FM every Thursday from 12 till 2. It's the two Marks, C and H, on the Two Saints Show, Fiesta 95 FM.
It normally is the two Marks. Unfortunately, Mark H is not available today. He's not 100%, so get well soon, Mark. But I am joined in the studio by our great friend Greg Dixon this afternoon. Welcome back into the studio again, Greg.
Afternoon, Mark. So do we call it the C&G show today?
Well, I'm not sure. We'll still call it the Two Saints Show, but or the One Saint and Chelsea fan show.
Still a Saints fan through and through, mate.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. So, moving on. Saints news and other related news articles that we're covering today. We kick off the first one with the news that St Mary's has been chosen to host 3 UEFA Women's Euro 2021 matches, including England's Group A final tie, which is quite an interesting one. The game comes on the back of the Lionesses playing Wales in the World Cup qualifier at Saints Ground back in April 2018. As the host nation, Phil Neville's England side will automatically qualify for next year's tournament. Their quest for glory will start at Man United's Old Trafford before a trip south to play in Brighton's Amex Stadium. This leaves St Mary's as the final destination before the knockout stage of the European competition. In total, St Mary's will be hosting 3 Group A fixtures, although just one of those will be the Lionesses. England last hosted the tournament back in 2005, with all the games taking place in the northwest of the country. There are 9 other venues for Euro 2021, including Wembley Stadium, Bramall Lane and Stadium MK. Toby Steele, Saints managing director, said, "Next summer is set to be another showpiece of women's football at the highest level, and we're incredibly proud St Mary's Stadium will be playing its part as a host venue in UEFA Women Euro 2021. With the competition set to be the largest ever women's Euro to date, we can't wait to welcome fans from across Europe to our stadium throughout the tournament." So that's good news for everyone.
Yeah, it certainly is. And
can't say I'm surprised, they've done it before.
Well, obviously having showcased the Wales game recently has proved that the whole setup at St Mary's is more than capable of being able to accommodate these type of fixtures.
Absolutely.
And what I love about this sort of competition is the fact that it's going to be dedicated to various stadiums, and it certainly gives the whole of the country a good chance to see how the expanse of women's football is taken off in this country. And I think when Phil Neville took over, I think a lot of people sort of raised eyebrows as to whether it was the right forte for him, but he seems to have taken to this quite well, and he certainly gets the best out of the girls as well.
It's probably fair to say his managerial career went slightly better than his brothers, didn't it?
Yes,
he didn't do too well at Valencia, unfortunately.
Yeah, certainly did.
Quite a short-lived tenure Gary Neville had at Valencia, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think with the way the modern women's game has moved forward, he certainly had big shoes to fill.
Oh, definitely.
Pardon the pun, and it wasn't all plain sailing for him as well, because off the field there was sort of one or two doubters that must have been difficult for him. But
he's also coming off the back of the sort of controversy with Mark Sampson, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Massive pressure, as you say, when he came into that. Certainly the situation with Mark Sampson definitely had an effect on certain players. Eni Aluko, obviously quite well publicised. So that's obviously that did put some pressure on him coming into that environment. But he certainly delivered, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And I just think it's great that England can actually host this sort of tournament.
Yeah, definitely.
And it'll be good to see how the English girls step up to the plate. Absolutely. Really, because we've seen them perform in the World Cup.
Yep.
And sort of just fall short. So they've really got to take it the next step forward now. If they're going to be a dominating force, the girls or the women's sort of pro league is really becoming a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
And saying that, lower down the pyramid as well. The girls and women's football is really, really taking off.
Well, both Southampton women's teams are doing quite well, aren't they? This season, the club affiliate team doing quite well, but the other Southampton ladies team doing very well as well. To be fair, but they've always been quite successful, haven't they? Yeah,
I think the beauty of social media and all the different platforms that they can promote the game on is certainly helping, and you've got that other little bit of controversy in the fact that the game's almost is also developing more women match officials as well.
Absolutely.
And some of them have even broken into the male end of the football, which is always difficult to grasp, but
definitely.
The FA is certainly moving the women's game on, and which is good to see in all quarters.
Yeah, and it's great opportunity for those people who can't get to St Mary's very often. It's another opportunity to get to St Mary's. It's an opportunity to see some international football, which you're not going to see very often. And we've got an exceptionally good Lionesses team, so certainly worth watching.
I think
I'd certainly recommend anyone that has the opportunity to get down to St Mary's and watch that. Certainly do so.
The other good thing I like
it's not often you see international football at St Mary's.
No, exactly. The other good thing I like about it, Mark, as well, is the fact that yes, probably all the games will be sold out, but there's a bigger opportunity for people to get tickets rather than the tickets all going corporate.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse trying to go and see a big match and tickets being sold out before they've even gone on sale, because they're going corporate way. But you'll find that families and that will be able to get tickets for these games, which is what the game wants, really.
Yeah, definitely.
You only have to watch some of the football, women's football that's on TV now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the support doesn't pack out all the stadiums, but the support is there, and I think having a major tournament at home is certainly going to generate interest, and maybe kindle a lot of interest from some people that are probably doubters on it.
Well, the thing is, let's also remember that these games, when they're staged at local stadiums, have an impact on the local economy. They have an impact on the club. It's good kudos for the club.
Yeah.
It helps the local economy. So it's all positives. But as I say, if you get a chance to get down there, you've got some of the younger players coming through and developing. And speaking of younger players in development, that moves us quite nicely on to the next article we're covering today, which is about Tyreek Johnson, who obviously went out on loan. He's actually been reunited with ex-Saints under-23 boss Radhi Jaidi. Obviously, Radhi Jaidi is currently in charge of Hartford Athletic out in the US.
Yeah.
Johnson will be plying his trade until December. The American side season doesn't start till next month, but will run until the end of 2020. Jaidi left Saints towards the end of last year, with it then being announced he was spending a campaign with Hartford Athletic, who are based in Connecticut on the East Coast. Obviously, Saints got links to the US with Under Armour, obviously their shirt supplier. Johnson was handed his first team debut by Ralph Hasenhüttl when he came off the bench to play against Arsenal in December 2018. He was actually loaned out at the beginning of this season to Woking, where he made 12 appearances, scored twice. Jaidi took to Twitter to express his delight about linking up with Tyreek Johnson again, and he tweeted, "Very glad to see Tyreek Johnson join us for a season-long loan. Very valuable addition to the squad." So another youngster out on loan, plying his trade over in the States, which obviously Josh Sims did as we all know, with the MLS side, New York Red Bulls, I think it was. So obviously another youngster out on loan there, Greg.
Yeah,
valuable game time and experience with a bit of luck.
Yeah, and he's been loaned out before. When he's been at Saints, he had a spell at Woking as well, and that was when Nicky Banger was involved on the commercial side at Woking. So that was obviously again a Southampton sort of instigated sort of deal. But no, I've actually seen Tyreek play. He was a member of the Southampton football team that was winners of the Southampton Senior Cup a couple of years ago at St Mary's when they beat Blackfield and Langley.
Yep.
Along with people like Will Smallbone, Jan Valerie, all those came through that
several key players
setup. So it's good. It's good to see that those players are progressing, sort of from the likes of Rai Jaidi.
We do seem to be getting back to the situation where Saints are starting to get a bit of a conveyor belt again, which is it's starting to look as though they're going that way, which is great. It's early days yet. Obviously, we don't know how well the academy is going to work going forward.
Obviously, they were working under Martin Hunter as well at the time, weren't they? So.
Well, yeah, and we've got a lot of experience at St Mary's. I mean, Paul Hardyman, obviously ex-Pompey, is involved with the under-23s, with the youth team set up with the academy. So that's obviously quite key there. We've got a lot of experience there. So hopefully that bodes well. Hopefully some of these other youngsters will come through. I think the Warriors, I don't think we've got a huge raft of talented players in under-23s as this season's dictated. Their performances haven't necessarily been great this season, but there's certainly enough positives there to think we've got a little slightly brighter future than we thought we did a few months ago in regards to the academy. So it's nice to see that the academy seems to be getting a little bit stronger now, which is great.
Yeah, and
which is what we want. That's the way for Saints to go. Obviously, they can't. We keep being told they can't compete with other clubs with regards to spending.
Sometimes the academy players might sort of take 3 seasons to develop. You've got to look at the likes of Will Smallbone at 20.
Yeah.
Now, as I say, he was part of that winning team.
Absolutely.
Over 2 years ago at St Mary's. Jan Valerie has already established himself as a first team squad player, albeit out of favour at the moment. As you said, Tyreek Johnson's already had a debut for the Saints first team. I believe back in 2018.
2018, against Arsenal.
It's
quite a baptism that.
But sometimes that's what these young players really need.
Definitely.
Just looking back to Will Smallbone on Saturday, he didn't look fazed by the occasion at all, did he?
Absolutely.
If that's the way they're going to bring their academy players on,
I must admit, Mark will tell you, and Mark knows this. Obviously, I went to the cup game with Mark, the Huddersfield Cup game at St Mary's, and Will Smallbone played there, and I thought he played really well. And I said to Mark, he sort of was one of those players that stood out, scored a really nice left-footed volley as well. So I wasn't overly surprised, but I did worry slightly. I thought, it's Aston Villa at home. We're under a bit of pressure anyway. James Ward-Prowse not playing his favourite position. Maybe it'll put a bit of pressure on him. But I thought he acquitted himself very well. I think Dave Merrington felt the same as well on the radio. Said he'd acquitted himself quite well. And he basically said the same thing I did. A couple of his 1 and 2 touch passes were absolutely superb.
And to come up against the likes of sort of Jack Grealish and people like that is a bit daunting as well, isn't it?
I don't think he embarrassed himself at all. I don't think he's got anything to be ashamed of. I thought it was a real solid debut as debuts go. I thought he shone a little bit, to be fair. Maybe not so much second half. I think he faded a little bit second half, which is probably to be expected. But first half, he was certainly in amongst it.
Going back to Rai Jaidi, it's really good to see that he's actually got a decent job.
Absolutely.
Still in football.
I must admit, when they said they were releasing him, I thought they were actually like letting him go completely. I didn't realise they were actually sending him over to the States.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
I thought. I mean, I can't help thinking that's probably regards to for his own development, I guess. And I guess that's another way of them trying to make sure they've got coaches with plenty of experience of different ways of playing. And obviously, they've been looking to form partnerships in the States ever since Ralph Hassan, ever since Ralph Kruger got involved in States before he left. Yeah. So I think they've always been looking to develop partnerships within the US. Obviously, partnership with Under Armour is an ongoing one. I'm not sure everyone's a big fan of that partnership, but there's obvious reasons for that. One of them being the kit at the start of the season.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on from there, it's good to know Raddy's doing well there, and obviously he's got a decent player there in Tyreek. So best of luck to Tyreek. Hope he does well and develops nicely. Comes back into the fold in the summer, hopefully.
It's good to know that Southampton have got that sort of connection.
Yeah.
Where they can let the players go and still be able to keep a good eye on them,
Yeah, definitely. So moving on from there to a player that's pretty much irrelevant in St Mary's these days, but unfortunately, due to his actions, has actually made himself slightly more relevant in the fact that it's been covered everywhere by media and everything else, and that is the fact that Charlie Austin's actually been formally warned by the FA over his expletive-laden tweets aimed at Saints fans. Unfortunately, he's escaping FA punishment despite his outburst. So, the St Mary's striker who left in the summer to join West Brom called out supporters for not getting behind the South Coast outfit. In tweets that were swiftly deleted, he basically said, "You don't seem to get behind the team only when they score, never when they need a boost." It was then revealed the FA had made contact with the Saints striker about his conduct on social media and asked him to explain his actions. However, English football's governing body opted not to charge the 30-year-old. Instead, they issued him with a formal warning, meaning no further action will be taken. He was allowed to leave Saints after being deemed surplus to requirements by manager Ralph Hasenhüttl and was also made to train away from the first team squad. In January 2019, he admitted to an FA charge and was banned for 2 games after gesturing at Man City fans. He wasn't actually gesturing at Man City, he was actually gesturing at his own fans during that game. A lot of us saw that. He was actually aimed at his own fans, and he was obviously substituted in Southampton's 3-1 defeat at St Mary's on December the 30th against Man City. He made 80 appearances for Saints, scoring 20 goals in all competitions before joining West Brom for 4 million. He scored 9 times, 28 matches in total this season for the Baggies, who were top of the Sky Bet Championship. So I think if I were Charlie Austin, I'd be careful what I'd been saying up until now, and I'd be careful what I'd say in future, given that there's a good chance you could end up back at St Mary's next season with West Brom, Charlie.
Yeah, exactly.
As I say, I mean, I felt at the time it's pretty irrelevant, but obviously we ended up covering it on the show because it became relevant in the fact that obviously he was pulled before the FA to explain himself. And it's not the first time he's sort of done these sort of tweets to Saints fans. He seems to be one of those players that seems to fish a little bit for a bite on social media, and then when he gets it, finds it quite amusing. I
think what's
you are pretty irrelevant, Charlie. But my only answer to that is you need to grow up a little bit, mate. You know, you're a professional footballer and set a better example. But there you go.
I think what's worrying, Mark, is the fact that all the social platforms, whatever you use, as soon as you put something on there, it is solely your opinion. Now, if you're criticising, if you're being racist, abusive, or whatever, then you're out there in the public domain. And the second you've posted that, other people get onto it straight away.
Yeah.
Take a screenshot of it or whatever, and then before you know, it's gone viral. And for him to end up and basically have a slap on the wrist is, as far as I'm concerned, is a little bit out of order, really.
Because, it's not the first time it's happened, so he should be charged, in my opinion.
That's basically what he's got away with.
Yeah.
He's just got away with a little slap on the wrist, and I've just read someone there. Surely as a professional football player, you're supposed to be a role model, and I think that sums it up in one, really.
Yeah.
Because probably got youngsters that idolise him.
Yeah.
And they will probably feel that what he's done on social media is the norm to do.
Yeah.
And I think in this day and age, we've got to be so transparent about how we express our feelings about things, and we all know as passionate football fans, because players are even football fans as well.
Yeah.
As soon as you get upset about something, you shouldn't be going out and posting.
No.
Sort of just even looking through the Twitter account. You've got to see all the expletives that have been deleted out. So it wasn't just a simple throwaway remark. He was. Don't
get me wrong, his scoring record wasn't bad at Saints, but there are a lot of fans, and myself included, who felt he didn't do enough in his time there. Didn't make enough of an effort at times. There were certain games where he represented a traffic cone. His movement was awful. So I think there are a few fans reflecting on it saying, do you know what, you didn't really put the effort in when you were here. You can't be surprised you were surplus to requirements. Your style of play didn't fit with the style that our manager wanted to play. Greatest respect in the world, Charlie. Get over it. You were surplus to requirements. That happens. People move on.
He's one of those players that was...
You never really reached the heights of what you did at QPR.
Well, he was fortunate enough at grassroots level to be a bit of a sensation.
Yeah.
And local clubs wanted him when he was at Poole Town and everything. Once he became a pro, it appeared, even from day one, that one of the things that he struggled with was his fitness.
Well, the other thing I'd argue that he struggled with, and has throughout his entire career since he became a Premier League footballer, is the fact that once he kind of became quite well known, got a bit of a name for himself, and was sort of considered half decent, he suddenly got this "I'm better than everyone else," this superiority complex, thinking that he's better than everyone else, and he's always I think he's always behaved in that manner. I think he was a bit like that when he was at QPR, certainly like that during his time at Saints, and even now at West Brom, he's still shouting the odds.
I always feel that
Charlie Austin quite clearly thinks a lot more of himself than most people do.
Yeah, I would have thought that from a club like Southampton, what they should be doing to their youngsters, and their pros that they buy in, go and put these two guys on a pedestal and say these should be your role models, and that's Matt Le Tissier and Franny Benali.
Yeah,
because they've been perfect role models for Southampton Football Club.
Yep.
Never went looking for the big money. Kept their feet firmly on the ground. I'm not saying Franny Benali could have played at a higher level, but Matt certainly could. But Franny, brilliant club player. Not only on the field, off the field as well.
Yeah, I just think there's a way of conducting yourself as a professional footballer, and I've never agreed with the way Charlie Austin conducts himself.
Yeah.
He literally is a big time Charlie. He really does think he's something else. And he's demonstrated that the way he behaves on social media. He thinks he's so much better than everyone else. He makes remarks about, he fills other people's wallets up and stuff like that. It's just comments that aren't needed, and it's expletive-laden tweets aimed at Saints fans. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, Charlie, but we're not all enamoured with you necessarily. There are a lot of us who don't think you did enough for us when you were there.
What's even more worrying about it, Mark, is the fact that he's not a youngster. He's 30 years of age.
He should know better.
So technically, he should know better.
Yep. Absolutely.
He's got a family of his own. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, how would he feel if he was on the receiving end?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you and I both know how Charlie Austin would react if he was on the receiving end of that.
Yeah.
So, I just think, yet again, the FA have just been too soft. And I think, unfortunately, the FA are like that occasionally. Every now and then they're a bit too soft. Because I think you just want to slap people down when they've done this. You basically want to slap them with a heavy penalty because you don't want it to keep happening.
Yeah.
It's bringing the game into disrepute. There's no argument. He's basically you can't deny it. The proof was there.
In a way...
he's got away with a slap on the wrist. Not even a slap on the wrist.
In a way, I'm a little bit disappointed with West Bromwich Albion as well because effectively... He's bringing them into disrepute as well by going out and venting his feelings. Yeah. He's a West Bromwich Albion player.
The way you think about it, if you're doing that sort of thing, you're letting yourself down, you're letting your club down, you're letting your family down. It's no better than that.
Yeah.
The problem is his wife will support him no matter what.
Yeah.
That's even worse because she basically condones his behaviour.
Yeah.
And I think the FA have done that by just saying, don't do it again. There's a naughty boy, and I just don't think that's strong enough from them. Anyway, moving on from Charlie Austin, I think we've given him more than enough airtime recently, and Mark would probably agree with me on that. He's probably sat home going, move on! So anyway, moving on from there, Will Smallbone labelled his Premier League debut as a dream come true. His surprise inclusion in Ralph Hasenhüttl's starting 11 came just over a month after he made his first team bow against Huddersfield in the FA Cup third round. However, the academy lad said to finally play in the top flight, something he wasn't expecting so soon. He said, to play in the Premier League, something I've always dreamed of growing up. So to be able to finally do it was very good for me. It was my 20th birthday on Friday. I couldn't have celebrated it in a better way. Smallbone didn't find out he was playing until the morning of the match. This meant he was able to get a decent night's sleep. Although he went to bed with the faintest idea that Saturday could be his lucky day, he added, I found out I was playing Saturday morning, although I had a little inkling that I might start on Friday. I just tried to stay calm and ready, because this is something I've always wanted to do. As soon as I found out I was playing, I told my parents. Luckily, they were already coming anyway. They were buzzing to be here to witness it. The central midfielder, who can play with both feet, also almost capped his top-flight debut with a dream goal. He picked the ball up on the edge of Villa's box, set himself up and drilled an effort towards Pepe Reina's net. It took a deflection, unfortunately, off Tyrone Mings and then cannoned off the post. Reflecting on almost scoring, he said, "To be fair, I didn't set it out where I wanted it to, but it took a little deflection and I thought it was going to creep in at the end." Next up for Saints, the trip to West Ham's London Stadium on Saturday. They now have a sizable gap over relegation battlers. However, Smallbone believes there isn't any time for complacency. We aren't really looking at that. We just take each game as it comes and try to get the 3 points. I think it's good we went out there and beat them, Aston Villa, but I also think we could have got a few more in the first half to make it more comfortable. We continue playing well in the second half and managed to get the second goal right at the end. It's a very important win so that we could get back on track and return to winning ways. Yeah, as I say, I thought a really solid debut from Will Smallbone, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. As I say, it's always good to see a newcomer that comes in and really doesn't look out of place.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm just going to chuck a name in the mix now that I could never understand, who managed to get into the Saints team, and that was one certain supposed to be really, really good professional player. One Elyounoussi, how he ever maintained warranting being called up for Saints, I don't know. And Will Smallbone sort of fitted in and didn't look as though he'd never been in the team before. You know.
Yeah, I think there are some players whose style of play suits Saints and others that don't. And I just think Elyounoussi style of play just didn't suit us, unfortunately. I mean, he didn't really play a massive run of games, but when he did play, he didn't do an awful lot when he did. You could say sometimes it's affected by the amount of minutes you spend on the pitch, but yeah, I mean, sometimes it isn't. So moving on from Will Smallbone, the last.
I was just going to say.
If you want to add something else before we move on to Shane Long.
I was just going to say. Obviously, the next game is a really, really key game for Saints.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see if Ralph is confident enough to give Will a second start.
Yeah.
That would be interesting to see on the back of the players that came back into the Saints team on Saturday but were only good enough to go on the bench because of their previous injuries. So it'd be interesting to see whether Ralph sort of goes with the setup he's got at the moment, or whether he decides that I know each game is going to be horses for courses.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
definitely. It'd be interesting to see if he keeps his place. I mean, Carl Walker-Peters, we're led to believe, is back in training and fit enough to possibly feature at the weekend, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
So moving on from there, Shane Long's thrilled to see his hard work paying off. The Republic of Ireland international netted his second goal in 3 games at the weekend to help Saints on the way to a crucial win. He arrived at the near post in time to bundle Moussa Djenepo's cross in past ex-Liverpool goalkeeper Pepe Reina. Speaking to Saints website, Long said, "I feel like I've been playing well lately and it's nice to get a few goals to back that up. The 3 points are massive for us as a team. We had to dig deep and push hard because Villa are a very good side. Being 1-0 up in the last minutes, always a bit risky, but the guys at the back did really well to keep a clean sheet and it was nice for Stu to get the goal at the end." Long 33 also thanked Saints supporters for creating an excellent atmosphere at St Mary's. Ahead of the match, Ralph Hasenhüttl called on the crowd to back his team. They didn't let him down. Over 31,000 fans were there on Saturday. It played an important role in urging their team to victory. The anticipation grew as the minutes ticked down, with Saints defending the slimmest of leads, but they would put at ease when Stuart Armstrong sealed the win in injury time. And Long added, "Although it was a bit nervous, the fans got right behind us and tried to cheer us over the line. It was nice to give them a 2-0 win and a clean sheet. That's something to be proud of." And I think Long's actually now scored 3 and 6. So he's starting to find a bit of form at the moment.
Yeah, exactly.
For all those people who criticise him, he works exceptionally hard. And I think Ralph himself alluded to the fact that he's very good at getting in behind defences, which is what we need.
I think that's the problem sometimes, Mark, is people don't actually see what players do off the ball.
Yeah.
Because in the sport you tend to follow where the ball's going, but you don't always see the ground that players cover, and
That's right.
This is all down to the training they do during the week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So coming up in the second half of today's show, we have Saints transfer news and gossip. Saints have the ugliest fans in the Premier League report, and that was a poll, and 2 Saints preview of West Ham versus Saints.
The Toussaint Show here on Fiesta FM. Tune in every Thursday 12 till 2 for informative football chat and great tunes. Make the Toussaint Show your permanent fixture with Mark C and Mark H on Fiesta 95 FM every Thursday from 12 till 2.
Saints transfer news and gossip. First story is the fact that Fraser Forster has allegedly said he's going to take a pay cut to remain at Celtic.
Interesting. I don't think that's a bad idea. We all know the situation that we had with him at Southampton.
Yeah,
I think it upset quite a lot of fans.
I think there were a lot of fans disappointed he was let go, and a few that were probably quite happy to see him go. So I think it's a bit of a mixed bag there, really.
Yeah, but he seems to have made the grade back at Celtic again. He's
been playing Champions League and he's been saving penalties.
Exactly.
And clean sheets and
So it goes. Ironically, it goes to show that playing game time is more important than sitting on the bench earning big money.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's only right for him, and at the same time, it'll be good news for Southampton Football Club. Really, we know that money's key with all the clubs, and even just to offload, a little bit of the wage bill is a bonus to any football club, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, according to Carl Anker of The Athletic, he's prepared to drop his wage demands in order to stay in Scotland beyond the end of the season. He's currently on loan to Celtic from Southampton till the end of the campaign, but is keen to complete a permanent transfer away from St Mary's. While Forster has impressed in Scotland, recording a Who Scored rating in Europe of 7.12, Saints already have a solid number one between the sticks. Alex McCarthy's been reliable in goal for Southampton this season and has kept 4 clean sheets in his last 10 Premier League appearances. McCarthy's performances show that Saints are not in need of a new goalkeeper due to his excellent saves and ability to command his area. His reactions are superb and he's made a number of eye-catching stops to keep Southampton in games at times, leaving Angus Gunn on the bench for the last 17 matches. This was also shown against Villa at the weekend as he made a crucial stop from Trezeguet in the second half to keep Saints in the lead, while also dealing with several crosses into the box with ease, recording a Who Scored rating of 7.59 for his performance. This means allowing Forster to join Celtic might not be a huge blow for Saints. The fact he's willing to drop his wages also shows he wants to join Celtic permanently, and keeping him at the club when Gunn and McCarthy are already at St Mary's could make the goalkeeping situation too complicated for Ralph Hasenhüttl to deal with. He could have 3 English internationals, with only one able to play each week in the Premier League, making it potentially difficult to keep them all happy. This means letting 6'7" giant Forster go could be a good decision for Saints, as it allows him to get his wish, and the club can get rid of a player who may not have much of an impact on the first team in the Premier League due to McCarthy's form.
Yeah.
So the question is, should Southampton let Forster go? Myself and Marcus spoke this, and we both said if he actually came back into the fold as number one, we wouldn't have an issue with it. No. Because of the form he's shown at the moment. But I'm not sure everyone agrees on that one. And that's mine and Mark's view on it anyway, definitely.
The other thing that's also notable about this, Mark, is the fact that the transition that he's had from sitting on the bench to actually actively going and be playing now.
Yeah.
There's also an outside chance that he can actually get back into the England setup as well.
Absolutely.
Yep. So I personally don't have a problem if he come back to Southampton.
No, me either.
My only worry would be the statement you just made that we've got 3 goalkeepers vying for one spot.
Yeah.
Now you're not going to be able to keep all those keepers happy.
No, absolutely.
And there's only so much under 23 football those guys can sort of play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also you've got Harry Lewis in the under 23s.
Yeah,
you've
exactly.
also got 2 or 3 other keepers within the club.
Yeah.
So I think you've got a raft of goalkeepers at Southampton at the moment.
We certainly have, and
it's almost a surplus.
It's as in all these businesses, it's a question of balancing books, and if the move's right for Southampton and Fraser Forster, then I don't have an issue with it, don't get me wrong, when he was playing, I really liked him as a goalkeeper at Southampton. I actually think he was a crowd's favourite, and I think he was another one of these players that once his form dipped, sort of took on a bit of a Charlie Austin-ish attitude. Well, okay,
Well, it was never confirmed, but also we were all led to believe that he was suffering a few mental health issues.
Yeah.
So, to come back from that and be showing the sort of form he's showing for Celtic at the moment, fantastic turnaround. And he's obviously changed his attitude slightly.
And I think he's having an absolutely barnstorming season at Celtic as well, you know. And he's getting European football.
Well, not only that, it's not going unrecognised. So Kenny Dalglish, Celtic legends, obviously been impressed with him. He's obviously thrown his hat into the ring and said he's been playing really well. And what a sign he's proved to be. And there's yet another brilliant, important save from the big Englishman the other night. What a sign he's turned out to be. Excuse me, a little bit of a hiccup there, everyone. Sorry about that.
And I'm, you know,
I'm not surprised it's not going unnoticed, really.
And that's why I think he must be on the edge of possibly looking at an England recall, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
Probably won't come back as first choice number one, but you got to look at the current crop of English goalkeepers that we've got. You know, are they in a rich vein of form themselves? You know, and well, you wouldn't say Jordan Pickford is. He's been one of the worst keepers in the Premier League this season, unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. You know, so
it's a shame their certain goalkeeper at Newcastle's not English, because I think he'd be getting a shout. Martin Dubravka's been probably one of the most outstanding keepers in the Premier League this season.
Yeah, totally agree. But yeah, I think a deal would have to be sorted out to suit all parties, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think fans would welcome him back.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. But the sort of form he's in, I mean, if he came back in the form he was in prior to his injury a while ago, which he seems to be getting that sort of form, if he's in that sort of form again, fans would be more than happy to see him back.
From a personal point of view, would he want to come back, being that he's playing regular football and playing European football?
Well, the other thing is, what would worry me slightly is the fact that he's now well aware that if you make the odd error here and there, the crowd do start to get on your back a little bit.
Yeah.
And he'd be well aware of what the crowd's thoughts were about him at the time when his form dipped. So I can't help thinking that's probably got something to do with it. That's bound to have an impact on you. How can it not? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bound to have some effect.
And really, the interesting thing is that now he's actually prepared to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
Whereas when he was sat on the bench, that didn't seem to be happening down here. So it's certainly changed his attitude.
Yeah.
You know, and sort of if we relate that back to the Charlie Austin sort of scenario. It shows that he's sort of grown up and learnt his lesson, basically.
Yeah.
From my point of view.
Absolutely.
You know, and to be playing under someone like playing against the likes of Steven Gerrard's squad at Rangers and that, and having the expertise that Neil Lennon is putting into him, that's got to be a real confidence booster.
Well, not only that, from his point of view, he's gone from sitting on the bench. Well, he's gone from not even being in the matchday squad at Saints to playing
European football. Yeah, exactly.
Why would you want to come back to Saints if you're Fraser? Yeah. I'd be sat there going, "That's all right. I'll play Champions League football, thanks." You know, he's been doing well. He's saved penalties, etc. So you know,
it'll be interesting to see what sort of decision he makes, and you know.
It's strange, isn't it? Because some players go back to their former clubs and it works, and other players don't. I mean, Mick Shannon famously left Saints for Man City.
Yeah.
Went to Man City, couldn't kick his own backside by his own admission.
Yeah,
came back to Saints and continued to do well.
Yeah.
So it's just proof there that some players leave clubs and it doesn't quite work out. Luke Shaw, Man United, is a good example. His career's not really taken off, is it? Nathaniel Klein at Liverpool's another one. A couple of players there haven't really, and Morgan Schneiderlin at Everton, 3 players who probably moved on from Saints, haven't sort of necessarily made much of their career. Anyway, moving on and talking of players who haven't made an awful lot of their career so far, story circulating that Mohamed Ali Enoussi is actually attracting attention from La Liga ahead of the summer transfer window. This is according to Football Insider. Apparently Real Sociedad are interested in signing him permanently at the end of the season. They've reportedly made him one of their main transfer targets for the summer. The website also states Saints are looking to receive a fee in the region of 8 to 10 million for Norway International, as he's out of favour under Ralph Hasenhüttl. Ali Enoussi played an excellent first half season on loan with Celtic before injury disrupted his campaign somewhat. The 25-year-old scored 7 times, created 6 assists in his first 13 games for the club. He's been unable to add to that tally in 2020. However, 3 of his 4 appearances since the turn of the year have come from the bench, with Celtic's 3-0 win over Clyde in the Scottish Cup being his only start so far. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not that happens. I think there's probably quite a lot of Saints fans that would like to see him join Celtic permanently.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Saints fans who'd like to see him leave the building, as the saying goes. he's not really cut it as he in a Saints shirt. He's not really done enough to sort of warrant the fee they paid for him either, unfortunately.
Well, I was going to say that. I think it was. I personally thought it was a ridiculous amount of money they paid for him.
Yeah.
Are they going to recoup the money on him? No way are they going to recoup the money. Again, he's having quite a successful time. Apart from his injury at Celtic, he was Player of the Month before Christmas up there. You know, so.
Well, also, I think if somebody's going to offer 8 to 10 million for him, take it.
Exactly.
You know.
Yeah. Like you say.
I think with certain players, Saints going to have to take a bit of a cut, a bit of a hit. They're going to have to take a bit of a loss and think, well, we need to free up the wages. We need to free up the space in the squad. Let's take the 8 to 10 million.
And that's what it's all about, really, Mark, as well.
You want the most you can get, but be reasonable as well.
I was going to say, it's not always about being the best money you can actually get. What you've got to look at is a question of, like I said, balancing the books. And if balancing the books means that you get a player off your wage bill early and you don't get the fee for him, at the end of the day, you've still actually made a good little bit of business there, because rather than hanging out to get that extra money and you're still paying his wages.
There's 3 parts to it, isn't there?
Yeah.
The first part is you're getting rid of a player that doesn't want to be with you. Secondly, you're getting rid of a player who is costing you wages and costing you salary, costing you a sign-on fee when they originally did it. Thirdly, it does recoup some of what you've paid out.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and another one, talking of fees, obviously, Mario Lemina is another one. We're led to believe that Saints have actually rejected an 8 million proposal from Galatasaray for him. I'm not overly surprised they've turned that down, although part of me thinks they should just take the money and run, because I can't see Mario Lemina being reintegrated into the Saints squad. I think it's a shame, because I think when he's on it, he's capable of being a fantastic player. And he's proved it when he has. But like again, his injuries have blighted his career at Saints. He's not really done it when he's come on. I think the problem for me is he's got the ability there, but he's never really delivered as such. And I do think he would have made a difference if he'd been integrated into the squad. We're led to believe Oriol Romeo's contract's up in the summer, or he's only got a year left to run. Would you look at bringing Mario back into the squad and reintegrating him? I'm not sure if they can. But the interesting thing is Galatasaray were led to believe the original agreement between them and Saints when they took him on loan was a fee of 16 million in the summer. And Galatasaray have basically said, well, if we do that, we'll be breaking FIFA fair play rules. We can't afford that. There's 8 million. Saints have basically said it's not happening. But again, I would think the argument for there would be, this is a player who doesn't want to play for you. This is a player you don't really want, who's surplus to requirements. You paid big money for him, but on some of these players, you're going to have to take a hit financially. Are they offering 8 million? Are you going to get a lot more than 8 million? Who knows? But you've got to seriously look at it, because I genuinely believe the summer window coming up is a watershed moment for Southampton Football Club. If they get it wrong this window, I think they're in deep trouble next season. And some of us know that they're in big trouble already.
I think they've got to do some smart business in the summer, to be honest, because to be honest, their transfer dealing in the past has sort of been a little bit low key, and then some of the players they've brought in have been, to me, a little bit of maybe a panic buy. And then it's ended up sort of costing Saints a little bit more than you would have expected them to be in the shop window for. So that certainly is a worry. Whether Saints have got people in the background now that are sort of more on the ball regarding the way the books need to be balanced. I hope the right people are in place now. And that we haven't got sort of the people that have been involved in the deals before.
Absolutely.
We've had some people behind the scenes that have
absolutely
certainly benefited from some of the transfer deals that have gone on in Southampton.
Oh, definitely.
And at a massive cost to Southampton Football Club, and from a supporter's point of view, that's a worrying time. Because at the end of the day, we all know that football clubs are a business now. The last thing you want to do in whatever business you're gonna be running is run your business at a massive loss, you know, and you know, that's not what you go to work for, you know, and you know, I think we've had some people within Southampton Football Club that have exploited their positions within the club and have benefited themselves from it, you know, and not actually looked at the bigger picture and seen what's best for Southampton and the community. You know, like we said when we first came on air, Mark, we spoke about, you know, the Women's Euros that's going to be coming to Southampton. The first thing you mentioned is the revenue that it's actually going to bring into the community.
Absolutely.
You know, I think all football that comes out of St Mary's, whatever level of football it is, whether it's the first team, whether it's our under 23s, our under 21s, our under 19s set up, they're showcasing what Southampton Football Club's all about.
Absolutely.
And you want to be able to put the right product out there.
Definitely.
And yeah, I think Southampton Football Club have carried a bit of dead wood for quite a long time now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, moving on from there, a couple of more stories to just cover quickly. We're going to just go over them briefly, and we'll come back to them if we decide to. But I don't think there's an awful lot of time you can spend on any of these, really, to be fair. Saints are apparently showing interest in Florian Grillitsch, the Hoffenheim midfielder, ahead of the summer transfer window. Apparently, they're one of a number of clubs tracking the Austrian, who has a release clause of 25 million. I would probably argue that 25 million, that release clause is out of Saints' reach. Probably not something they're going to do.
It sounds a lot of money, doesn't it?
Also, his who scored rating of 6.78 in the Bundesliga is lower than both the Saints midfielders Ward-Prowse and Højbjerg. So at that point, I would say I don't think that's a starter. I don't think that's going to happen.
You've also got competition from Arsenal in that as well. So
I also think the other issue is he doesn't really fit the age mould that Ralph Hasenhüttl referred to as 24. He's just over that, I believe. So I don't think that one's going to happen. Moving on from there. Saints are also keen on, apparently Saints have been scouting Robbie Much ahead of a possible summer sweep. Reportedly scouting Falkirk keeper Robbie Much ahead of a possible summer sweep, according to Falkirk Herald. Saints have been scouting Much this season as they were moved for the shot stopper. I'd be very surprised if they're going for another keeper.
I was going to say.
Because I think they've got an absolute dearth of keepers at Southampton, and I don't think they necessarily need one. He's kept 8 clean sheets in 15 league appearances for Falkirk this season, conceding 9 goals in that time. Read Southampton's verdict is it's good to see Southampton looking at potential additions to their academy set up in the summer, with him being just 21. Well, I would argue he's probably surplus to requirements, so I'm not sure if that one's going to happen either.
As a 21-year-old, why would we need another keeper on board?
We've got Harry Lewis in the under 23s who's playing there quite regularly as well, so I find that quite an interesting one. So moving on from that to the last bit of Saints-related news today, which was the result of a Premier League poll that's revealed that Liverpool fans are the best looking of any Premier League team according to this survey, and Southampton are the worst, which, sorry to say it, Saints fans, it may cause a little bit of unrest amongst you all, but according to fans of other clubs, we're the ugliest fans in the Premier League.
Maybe.
So, needless to say, myself, Mark, and several other fans will be going into hiding now, Greg.
I'm surprised that it's taken them that long to come up with that choice as the Saints run the ugly inside.
Yep.
You know.
Oh, very good, very good.
Obviously Nick Illensworth and that lot back in the 80s knew the reputation of Saints fans. So that's probably where that's come from. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting who sets up these polls, to be honest, mate.
Yeah, the other interesting thing is that apparently a lot of fans have revealed that they'd quite like to have some relations with fans of opposing teams. Yeah, I can think of a few teams I wouldn't want anything to do with, I can tell you that now. Yeah, I think that's an interesting one. So yeah, apparently we're the worst looking fans in the Premier League, which it seems a bit strange to me. I seem to remember them being voted as quite a decent looking set of fans, the Saints fans. But there you go.
Maybe that's why the Echo don't take photographs of the Saints fans anymore now.
Might well be. I think it's more a case of they never know where to point the camera, to be fair. But, anyway. So at that note, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we'll do our preview of West Ham versus Saints.
Make the Toussaint Show your permanent fixture with Mark C and Mark H on Fiesta 95 FM every Thursday from 12 till 2.
So, Greg, preview of Saints versus West Ham.
Yes.
So another tough game, I would say.
It's going to be an interesting game. West Ham not in the best vein of form. However, I can certainly see goals being in this game, and it'll be an interesting game. Really important game for Saints. Depends, I think, whether Kyle Walker-Peters will be back in the squad, which will obviously hopefully free up James Ward-Prowse to go back into midfield.
Yep.
Obviously, if that happens, I think that will go with what I said earlier on. Ralph will probably have to revert and drop Will Smallbone for the game. We've still got Nathan Redmond out injured, so that's the injury worry, along with Walker-Peters as well, I suppose.
There is actually a press conference happening as we speak at Staplewood. Ralph Hasenhüttl has actually confirmed Kyle Walker-Peters returns and Nathan Redmond is still sidelined.
Okay.
So that's been confirmed by Ralph Hasenhüttl just now on the live stream for the.
So much as I predicted, then I would imagine Walker-Peters will start. Ward-Prowse will go back to his midfield role, and that'll put Will Smallbone out. But hopefully it'll be taken along as part of the squad.
I think it would take a huge fillet from the fact that he actually did start against Villa and acquitted himself well. So
it's certainly going to be a tough game.
It's certainly not going to knock his confidence if he's not playing, because obviously he played very well against Villa and he'll know that. So it shouldn't have any effect on his confidence, hopefully.
It's going to be a tough game at London Stadium.
Absolutely.
Obviously, West Ham lost out on Monday to Liverpool.
Yeah.
It's again. They're really struggling with their injuries as well, and
I'm just looking at the table for West Ham this season. So played 27, won 6, drawn 6, lost 15. 48 goals against, goal difference of -16. So certainly, definitely in the bottom three, rooted in the bottom three at the moment. I don't know. I mean,
in the head-to-head,
look at those three at the bottom. You look at West Ham, Watford, and Norwich City, and you're thinking, are any of those three capable of going on a run? Quite possibly, I think probably Watford out of the three, probably with Nigel Pearson, the job he's been doing, probably stand a chance of going on a run.
I would pick Watford.
I don't think Norwich are going to do it, and I'm not so sure West Ham will. And Villa and Bournemouth look in serious trouble at the moment. Bournemouth certainly. I don't know what's gone wrong at Bournemouth, but it's certainly their season's certainly fallen apart, hasn't it?
As I said, a couple of wins, a couple of losses can really change the Premiership table around at the moment. And
although in fairness, I don't think West Ham are always going to be easy. The only good thing is Saints, obviously, as you said earlier in the show, play a lot better away from home.
Yeah, they certainly do. On the head-to-heads over all the games that they played, West Ham are sort of leading in the head-to-head games. But then saying that, West Ham not in great form at the moment.
Yeah.
However, they came to St Mary's and got a result, and I think I'm really sure there's going to be goals in this game for both sides. You've got to look. They've got West Ham have got some quality players.
Yeah, definitely.
You've got to look at sort of like the English players like Creswell and Snodgrass, Rice. Even Noble, and obviously a Saints favourite was Michael Antonio. He's always worth a goal, and
he's always a thorn in our side as well, unfortunately.
Exactly. Also, the worry is Philippe Anderson as well.
Yeah, I mean, those two. I mean, Michael Antonio as well. Regardless of when he plays Saints, for me, he's as much a thorn in the side of Saints when we play West Ham as Jack Grealish is when we play Villa.
Yeah.
If you keep Antonio as under wraps as possible and keep an eye on Anderson, then you've probably got the game sewn up. But for me, I think, unless I'm mistaken as well, I think it'd be the second game that Danny Ings goes into off the back of the last home game, but the second game he goes into with the opportunity of becoming the highest scorer in the Premier League this season.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's quite a fillip for him.
Yeah.
He's obviously been scoring goals for fun this season. The only thing for me with Danny Ings is I wonder how many goals he would have got with some real service.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of the goals he scored this season, he's created himself out of nothing. Or it's been from charging the goalkeeper down. So not an awful lot of chances that have been laid on the plate for him. But those that have, he's obviously taken. But not all of them, sadly. But it'd be good to see how he gets on at West Ham. It'd be nice to see him hit the back of the net again.
I think David Moyes has got a big issue at West Ham. He's come in to try and save them. their season's not been great. They haven't won a game in their last 7 league games. But they always look capable of scoring. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And if you look back at Saturday's game, the way Saints went about the game against Villa, West Ham could possibly see there's going to be opportunities there for them.
The thing is, Walker Peters is fit enough to play. I don't think he should. In the fact that, and the reason I'm saying that, it's probably going to surprise a few people, is James Ward-Prowse proved he can do a job at right back. He proved
exactly.
It his who scored rating was 7.6, which was the highest individual rating of any right back for Southampton this season. So there you go. That's quite a and that would actually, if he does decide to stick with Ward-Prowse, that actually gives Walker Peters time to fully recover and make himself available for the rest of the season, which I would say is probably more important than a one-off game against West Ham. But having said that, I think we need a couple of wins, and I think the quicker they can get those couple of wins, the better it is for everyone.
I'm hopeful.
It's an interesting one. It's a toss-up between, do you bring Walker Peters in or do you stick with Ward-Prowse?
Yeah, it's difficult.
And West Ham are a different proposition to Villa, and let's not forget we're playing away from home. But for me, key men for Saints, Danny Ings, James Ward-Prowse, Moussa Djenepo, for me, the key men for Saints.
Yeah. I'm fairly positive that we can ground out a 2-1 win in this.
Yeah, I'll go over 2-1.
Yeah, I'm sort of sticking my neck out there, but I think our current form away from home. Yeah, okay, we're going to a big stadium again. But yeah, I think if we're able to play football, even if James Ward-Prowse is fullback, I still think we've got.
The interesting thing is as well with the West Ham game, we go into this game with the opportunity of getting back-to-back wins, which is exactly what happened after the last Aston Villa game when we beat them 3-1. We had the opportunity of getting back-to-back wins, which is exactly what we did. So it'd be interesting to see if we can actually do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Can they go on another little run to the end of the season? Yeah, that'd be good.
Anyway, that's my prediction for the weekend. The interesting thing is as well is that it's another 3:00 kick-off on Saturday, which is a bit of a rarity.
Doesn't happen very often. Yeah, I must admit, being at St Mary's for a 3 p.m. kick-off was a little bit strange for me. It's been so long since that's happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, 2-1 for me. But as I say, Djenepo, Ings and Ward-Prowse for me, the key men. I think they're the guys that make a difference.
Yeah.
If Djenepo can play in the same sort of way he played against Villa, then that should be quite helpful.
And we didn't mention him really.
Doing quite a good job of fitting in.
Yeah.
Where Redmond's obviously not out.
Yeah.
I think Boufal's a huge miss as well, obviously. But it is what it is. We start with what we've got. We'll have to go with that.
Yeah, I'd just like to say it's been a pleasure sitting in Mark's hot seat.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming in this afternoon. I'm sure Mark appreciates it.
I'm not sure I've put as much of a contribution into the show as that he normally does. I've certainly not got as passionate as he does, listening in every week. What I'd like to do is sort of throw you a real curveball here. We've got a few minutes left. I think. We actually started the show off by talking about the women's football.
Yes.
And it's interesting that as a football club secretary, this week a lot of football clubs that have got youth teams within their setup have received emails from the FA talking to us about heading footballs. For the youngsters.
I don't know if you actually listened into last week's show. Obviously, we covered the fact that Dave Watson's very sadly been diagnosed with a neurodegenerative brain disease. Obviously, Mark got quite emotional about that. I was lucky enough to see Dave Watson play alongside Chris Nicholl, and both of them. Chris Nicholl obviously has dementia, is suffering from that, and Dave Watson has a similar issue. And funny enough, Dave Watson's wife Penny actually said she felt it was from head injuries over the years when he was playing. Well, also repeatedly head in the football.
Ironically, the FA have sent out a programme regarding heading guidance.
Right.
So,
for anyone who doesn't know, while we're on air, Laurie McMenemy, former Saints manager, is involved locally with dementia and Alzheimer's, I believe.
Exactly.
So obviously that's a Saints connection.
So basically, this is looking at all aged football in the youth section from under 7s through to under 18s, and the headlines is no heading in training in the foundation phase, which is primary school children, graduate graduated approach to heading for children in the development phase, under 12s to under 16s, and then under 18s heading drills should be reduced to take into consideration the heading exposure in matches. An interesting thing as well, which is really paramount, especially in this day and age of footballs, because back in the day we can all remember playing with that leather football with a great big lace in it, and when it was filled with 2 tons of water and you were kicking that ball and heading it around. Yep. I can still hear John McGrath heading the ball now at the Dell.
Well, I must admit, I remember very famously I had a games lesson at school playing football, and we had one of these really heavy brown leather footballs, and it had gone up in the air, and as it came down I went to head it and it hit me right on the top of my head. And I didn't know where I was. So totally messing with my equilibrium. I was all over the show. Didn't know what had hit me.
So part of the guidelines.
So I can understand why they're doing that.
They're saying don't over-inflate the footballs. Use the lowest pressure authorised by the laws of the game.
Does that not make it heavier?
But what I want to do is just finish off by talking about dementia in football.
Yeah. Well, it's quite relevant given what's happened, obviously, with Chris Nicholl and Dave Watson.
Rather sadly,
and obviously Kevin Moore used to play for Saints.
Somebody that I know personally who was a fantastic ambassador for women's football locally is Sue Lopez. She's now 74 years of age.
Wow, where's the time?
She's a pioneer of the women's football. Yeah. And it's been revealed that she now is suffering from dementia, and she believes herself that it's a result of years of heading the ball. Yeah. She was the first British woman to play semi-professional football abroad, and she represented England 22 times during her career spanning 3 decades. And she really pioneered women's football in the Southampton area. Well, not only in the Southampton area, but she was...
Well, it's quite relevant we're talking about Sue as well, because obviously Sue was quite key in the setting up of the Southampton women's team years ago.
Exactly,
that were actually quite closely linked with the club, and obviously Sue was quite crucial and quite key in that, was involved with it quite heavily. And there's another connection there.
And for those of you that are tuned in, if you want to sort of learn a little bit more about dementia in football, on Inside Out South, which is on BBC One on a Monday night, this is actually available on the iPlayer. This was actually shown a month ago in January, and you can go on the iPlayer and watch the half-hour film that Abby Newbury has put together, and it shows Sue in her playing days and her current state, unfortunately, and it's a very, very sad sort of situation to see. But we know there's a campaign going on to consider whether we've had quite a lot of pro players in the men's football that have sadly suffered with dementia over the years.
Obviously it's not something I knew a huge bit about, but obviously, as you know, my own family's actually been touched by dementia now. My mum's sadly suffering from it, so obviously it's hit home. It's well and truly hit home now. As I say, my mum sadly is suffering from it now, but certainly giving me a bit more of an understanding of it. Yeah, and that'll obviously increase as time goes on.
Sorry, that's a sad note to finish the show on, but I thought it was rather relevant, the fact that we started quite confidently talking about the success that the English women's game is going to bring when it comes to the likes of St Mary's, MK Dons.
And if I can just reiterate what Mark said on last week's show, Southampton Football Club, please do something for your former players that suffer with dementia or Alzheimer's. Invite them and their family along for an afternoon's game or something. Just try and do something for them. These guys are a key part of our club, so please make sure you pay some sort of tribute to them in some way. We don't know what their prognosis is moving forward, but please get them engaged with the club in some way. And on that note, it's the end of today's Two Saints show. I hope everyone tuning in enjoyed it. I've certainly enjoyed it. Greg, thanks ever so much for coming in at short notice today. Mark H, get well, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.